this thing, this organization, this group, there is so much of it that looks like the kind of topics that we all love on a Freaky Friday, or when I get into the deep woo. It's almost like somebody's taken our content, sewn it together, mixed it in with ancient documents like the Bible and the Mahabharata and the Quran and ancient texts. And it's got a heap of good stuff in there, Jimmy, that makes you think, I like the sound of that. Wouldn't you agree?
Sounds like somebody created a seductive character, Kev.
We just had a look at him. He's a very seductive character, isn't he, Jimmy?
Well, I know, but here's the thing. What I'm saying is, I'm gonna come to the table with an open heart and open mind to the raw aliens. Okay, I'm here. I'm gonna hear what they have. With the information that you have here, and I'm gonna come to the table with open mind and open heart. And if they can pull me over and onto their team, that's good. Hey, you can entertain something without subscribing to it. And that's an important rule that I have. So let's entertain the raw aliens.
Yes, and the reason this came across my news feed today, I went to my usual pit stops, my one-stop shops for content, usually more to give me ideas than anything else, but Mysterious Universe. And they had a headline on there that reads, "The Realians hold an international online forum to discuss diplomatic protocols for extraterrestrial contact." So at that point, I was absolutely bowled over. I thought, hold on a minute, hold on. We've been talking about first contact on the Kev Baker show this year already. And it was when we were talking about Skinwalker Ranch. It wasn't me speculating that maybe we'll get first contact there. That's the plan for season 2. The end of season 1 finished. They're talking about how they need to go to government, the Pentagon, get the protocols, probably the UN as well, deal with this kind of thing for when you make first contact with an alien. It's 2020. These things happen. Now, I'd done a stream before the show and I went over the Mysterious Universe article, and they basically linked to an article here that comes from the PR Newswire, and it says the Realians held their first international online forum to discuss protocols for extraterrestrial contact. And it says, "A historic event just happened before our eyes," announced Daniel Turcotte, Realian guide and leader of the Embassy for Extraterrestrials project, which is sponsored by the Realian movement. Diplomats and foreign affairs officials recently attended our first international online forum to learn from our experts all the steps required to officially welcome human beings from another planet. The main goal of this event was to inform diplomats and foreign affairs officials about this unique and ambitious project that could also bring wealth and scientific advancements to the hosting country. We need to increase their level of awareness about the important issues of international law that should be resolved before any extraterrestrial contact is made. Now, during the presentation and after introducing the subject and giving an outline on the project, Dr. John H. Levy, PhD, a world-renowned lawyer specializing in transnational and private international law, and Stephen Goldie, a very experienced city planner, outlined the legal issues raised by this unique and ambitious diplomatic and touristic project, as well as the steps necessary to make it happen. And it goes on to say, quote, "For decades now, Raelians have been canvassing countries to consider hosting an embassy for extraterrestrials. But in recent years, these discussions have been increasing in number and seriousness. Many countries showed a genuine interest in this very promising and important project. The presentation was very well received, and all the participants agreed that the diplomatic aspect of it is not only mandatory, but it's a priority. Interest is growing as it becomes obvious that the extraterrestrial civilization is preparing our humanity for an official contact through an ever-increasing number of UFO sightings, military reports describing encounters with UFOs, and very complex crop circles all over the world. It's just a matter of time before more diplomats and foreign affairs officials acknowledge this and advise their respective government to care for a proper and formal welcome for an out-of-this-world civilization. We are aware that this is an important paradigm shift with regard to diplomatic relations defined by the Vienna Convention, and while the increasing governmental awareness is now obvious, we still have some work to do. While some countries wrongfully anticipate an invasion by an armed extraterrestrial civilization and are preparing to go to war against them, we must offset such a primitive and dangerous position with a worldwide movement of peace to educate people and government officials that we can only benefit from contact with beings from beyond the stars. And it goes on to say that the Raelian philosophy states that an extraterrestrial civilization, referred to as the Elohim in the original Hebrew Bible, created all forms of life on Earth, including human beings. Now, that doesn't really tell you much about the Raelian religion. So Jimmy Jeans today, when I told him we were going to be getting into this, he very kindly sent through this little infomercial. It's a really informative couple of minutes of video that I think really gives you the bare basics and gets into some of what this group is all about. And I want you to listen really closely, because so far it doesn't sound too far removed from David Wilcock, Corey Goode, and the Blue Chicken Cult, right? There's one big difference here. The Raelians are being pushed by and are being courted by the United Nations. Take a listen to this with that little thought in your mind.
Hey folks, there's an eccentric young religion out there that's for free love, democracy, and scientific progress. Oh, and they believe that aliens created the human race, and that they themselves have cloned a human child. Let's meet the Raelians. Just a disclaimer in case there are little ears listening, this video has some discussions of free love and such, so if that's not something you want your kids hearing, you've been warned. If that is something you want your kids hearing, moving on. In 1974, sports car journalist and test driver Claude Verlan started a religion. From his account laid out in 2 books he wrote in the mid-70s, Verlan claims that the aliens abducted him and explained to him how the world works. But apparently not how to fix it, because have you seen 2017? These aliens...
This video was made in 2017. Can you imagine this guy making this in 2020? 2017 was a pussycat year.
The Elohim were the true creators of humanity. Using advanced cloning technology, they created us in their image. When they intervened with our early species, they called themselves angels, cherubim, or gods. In different eras of human history, Claude claims the aliens enlightened Jesus, the Buddha, and a few others to be messengers of their time.
So, Jimmy, let me pull you in here at this moment, this little juncture, a minute in, and we need to talk about this already. Because we can see already how whatever this is, whoever this character is that had communications with these alien human beings, right? Do you notice a lot of similarities in some of the kind of stories that we've even heard in 1 minute there? And a lot of this based on ancient alien kind of foundations. But how many times do you hear people like me, you've been on shows with me, Jimmy, where we're talking about fallen angels, the Anunnaki, in this case he calls them the Elohim, and this manipulation of the DNA. You see how, like, a minute in, I tell you, it's starting to tick a few boxes that really appeal to me, dude. You know, I'm starting to get interested here.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, up until this point, I mean, let me just say it. We're just pulling the roulette wheel here today. I'll tell you what, I'll just pull some things, random things out of the ether space here. First thing I want to pull in, Colburn Bible. You know what I mean? Colburn Bible exactly resonates with this kind of language. So already I'm interested because it sounds already more feasible than some of the other stories about the way things might have happened. So I'm already excited about it.
Yeah, this is going to be a good conversation, Jimmy. I can tell. There's so much we can get into on the back of this. And by the end of today's show, me and Jimmy are going to add to all of this. And we're going to kind of brainstorm and put together our own really quick online cult. We'll give you the ideology that you would need to set one up. Just for a laugh, folks. We're not literally setting up the Kevin Jimmy Club. Not yet. Let's get back into the aliens.
Preparing humans for when we can join them in space. Oh, he also claims he had dinner with them. The religion he founded was to spread the last message from these Elohim. Their goal is to make humanity more peaceful, democratic, and aware as they prepare to be welcomed into the interstellar community. He changed his name to Rael and founded Raelianism. Raelians are well-meaning people, despite holding some strange beliefs. Becoming a Raelian is actually pretty easy. They just ask you to formally disavow any other religion, and that's about it. Heck, I've done it twice today. The Raelian baptism entails an upload of your genes to a space computer, allowing for a digital reincarnation and immortality.
Now, hang on a minute. Now, whoa. So the Raelians, and I've got the name first now, not the Raelians or the Rolians or the Romalians, whatever I'm calling them. The Raelians.
The Israelians.
So, your baptism, Jimmy, includes you sending digitized DNA up into space to a supercomputer.
Yeah.
You know, if there's any truth to this, right? If there's any truth to this, I hope that they're true about their intentions, because if not, we're giving them the most detailed menu in the world.
Well, all I know is it's sounding like it's making sense. I mean, God is up in the cloud, the clouds, the cloud, you know what I mean? Supercomputer in the sky. I mean, when you start thinking about it, once you got to the point where you can analyze things down to the microscopic level, I mean, how far are you away from creating things at that microscopic level and then realizing, oh, wait a minute, I'm God? I think that might be where we're going here. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I tell you, dude, most people are a bit paranoid about sending their DNA rightly to companies like 23andMe and Ancestry DNA and all these groovy companies. I don't think I'd be sending it into space to some unknown recipient either. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm out there, Jimmy. I'm like an Oslo. I'm an outer space liaison officer. I got called it in the army many a time by my sergeants because they could see I was a bit out there. I was the Mulder of the platoon, right? So, but even for me, transmitting DNA into space, I don't know, man.
Dude, what was the name?
Good into that story.
What was the name of the place of the country that formed itself in space and said you could buy space on their hard drive and become a citizen of that satellite system? I mean, what was the name of that thing? It came out like last year. You did a show about it.
Which one? There's a lot of them, man.
No, this was a guy that they established the satellite off world. You could become a citizen of it.
Yeah, the Asgardians.
Asgardians, yeah. Exactly. I wonder if the Asgardians are tied in with the Raelians.
Well, it sounds like the Asgardians actually they've stolen a bit of the kind of the ideology, a bit of the kind of the foundation of this religion, really, because I know that they upload, they too, they've stolen that. They upload their digital DNA to a CubeSat in geosynchronous orbit. Nothing can go wrong there either, folks. But we're only 2 minutes in. Well, let's take a listen to a little bit more.
They perform these baptisms on one of the 4 major holy days in the Raelian calendar.
Now, I want you to listen to what they class as holy days, folks.
One marks the anniversary of the bombing of Hiroshima. One marks Rael's first encounter with the Elohim. One for the day he saw the Elohim starship, where he had that meal with Jesus, Buddha, and some other religious figures, and one for when aliens cloned up Adam and Eve. They do have a few controversial beliefs that
Hiroshima, just saying.
will definitely make this video not advertiser friendly. Patreon. The symbol aliens use is a Star of David, with a swastika in the middle. Yep, the old Nazi swirl is a prominent part of their symbology. I mean, they aren't alone. Hindus still use the symbol to this date, but I do have to say putting it in the Star of David is a bit on the nose. I actually...
Yeah, that's kind of like, I mean, as somebody who likes to trigger people on social media, I mean, my brain has never even gone to that kind of extent. Can you imagine the kind of triggering you would do if you just dropped that into Twitter? But here we have the Realians. Oh, I forgot how to say it again. But and they've got the swastika in the Star of David. Now, like I said on the stream earlier, and I can speak from experience here, folks, I know what it's like, you know, to have a symbol that can be misinterpreted. And the bad guys in World War II, those pesky Nazis in their Hugo Boss uniforms and backed by the same bankers that were funding both sides, you know that war, same as any other war. But yeah, they were the ones that kind of bastardized that symbol, because when you go back to Hindu times, I'm sure Jimmy will agree with me here, I'm sure he's looked into this, nothing more than a sun symbol, right? A solar symbol. It used to have kind of circular arms on it so it could roll across the sky, kind of thing. They came along and they made it all straight and bent, and
I think what they did was they inverted the blades so that it was, you know, like when you see a 5-pointed star facing up.
It also had it kind of circular ends on it as well, so that it kind of looked more circular, like an actual sun, you know.
Yeah, I mean, but the geometric principles behind the symbols on the actual Raelian symbol, if it didn't have religious connotations to it, it wouldn't. It's a powerful symbol in and of itself. But I wanted to point out, you know, the fact that they have the Star of Saturn on there, which is considered the Star of David, wrapped in this the sun in the center. You know, I find it interesting in the sense that there's symbolism behind that, and you know, it seems like the face of this idea may change, you know, to adapt to a bunch of people that have certain belief systems, but it looks like the people behind this thing are still the same people. You know what I mean?
We're coming up on a break right now, and when we come back on the other side, I'm going to show you how this all ties in on a really serious kind of level with the United Nations. Yeah, when they're talking about the fact that they've had their latest annual conference, make of this group what you will, but they've got like foreign diplomats, foreign affairs people from other countries attending that. Kind of hush-hush as well, not a public conference. We need to at least keep an eye on what's going on with this mob, because there's a new religion a-coming. I don't know what it is, but this one ticks a lot of boxes. We'll be back on the other side. Don't go anywhere. More from our extraterrestrial overlords. There we go. We're on the break.
Sweet. Yeah, man.
DD.
You know what's funny too is I was trying to get there and I blanked out when I said Saturn, because I realized in the middle of what I was saying that was the Saturn symbol, and it made me lose what I was saying, which is that they made a point of calling the thing, whatever it is, Elohim. So any offense that could be had by that swastika might be erased by the fact that they're using Jewish symbolism. Or Jewish, you know, I guess it's not really Jewish; it's more Hebrew, isn't it? The language.
Doesn't any good cult borrow, you know, the fundamental ideas and some of the ideology from other religions? to give it some kind of credibility, and B, to appeal to different people as well, you know? To give them a taste of what their old belief system had. And look, it's incorporated into this.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing here is like the most slick kind of con job since Scientology, man.
Oh, dude, it's beautiful because you can toss in everything that's appealing and throw out everything that everybody doesn't like about their religions, and then put it all under one umbrella that sort of has, it has no... It puts everything sort of off-world in the sense that it really is no one people can claim a god. It's the god of everyone, and that's the issue. That's what makes it the killer, right? Is because it doesn't matter if you're Islamic or Catholic or Christian or Buddhist or whatever it is, because when the alien shows up, everybody's paying attention to the alien. The alien has now become, the god. And now that's puts everybody in a place where it could be a one world religion, because everybody could finally realize that.
That's why it's something you have to keep your eye on.
I know, it's the kind of thing where people may realize that it really does. My particular thing doesn't supersede this other thing. You know what I mean? Religion won't supersede an alien. An alien
and the
that
guy's
created...
already dressed up like a cool new pope. It's like a space age pope suit he wears.
He totally... Are you going to play some of that guy?
Maybe.
I hope you do, man. I mean, that's some good stuff. I mean, that is some good...
It's only really good if you can... It's far better if you can see it.
I know.
But there is enough in it to hear it.
Yeah, no, just the guy's voice and everything. Yeah.
You are now tuned into the truth frequency.
Your protection from deception. TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
I'll stand tall in the face of tyranny. I want it all on my freedom and liberty. I'll keep my guns, you can keep your security. I'll stand tall in the face of tyranny. I'll stand tall in the face of tyranny. I want it all on my freedom and liberty. I want it all on my freedom and liberty. Stand tall in the face of tyranny.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we're getting into the Realians. Yes, we are. A New Age religion. Is it going to be the New Age religion? Listen, and everything I've learned over the years, listening to people like David Icke, Alex Jones, Jordan Maxwell, all of the people you can think of, all the people you've listened to as well. You know, that always the warning was the New World Order, this global one world government, and with that, the cornerstone of it would have to be the scrapping of all other religions and the introduction of a new one. I'm not saying the Realians is it, but we're going to play a little bit more of this clip, and then I'm going to tie in the UN with this crew, this motley crew, and their really, really, really compelling kind of backstory to this religion. And it's nothing new. It was back in 1974 that a French race car driver was contacted by aliens. I mean, there's nothing out of the ordinary there. And from that, we have the Realians. There's a character that heads it up. He's called Rael, R-A-E-L. And he jumps about in some really interesting looking garb. I tell you, if there's a stereotypical look to any cult leader, that guy's got it rocking. But I've got Jimmy Jeans here with me as well. Jimmy, how you doing, man? I'm going to get back into this video.
Doing fantastic. I'm infatuated with this seductive character that you found here, because it seems to have fulfilled all my wildest dreams about some way to express myself in the universe, and maybe this might be it.
He's got it going on, man. He's like, is he like the boy that Scientology rejected, and he thought, well, I'm just gonna get my own ball, and I'm gonna play by myself, and he set up his own one.
Man, let me tell you something. I'm infatuated with it, man. So far so good. I mean, I'm waiting for you to drop the hammer on me and tell me why I don't like this, because so far, like I say.
Hey, Jerry, you know me, man. I don't impede on anyone's journey.
So
I
this,
provide. If
yeah,
you decide
this
to go with it, dude, that's on you.
I may jump headlong into this agreement reality known as the Ryan a reality. So this is exciting. Well, let's see.
Alien reality.
Yeah, we're almost there. So we're only 30 minutes into this reality. Typically, what happens is, there's always disappointment. There's always that honeymoon phase,
Yeah,
and then
exactly, Jimmy. I think we're still at the part where the clever salesman is giving us his pitch.
yeah, you're just
oh wow, this is amazing, dude. This is amazing.
you're whining and
now
dining me
before-
right now, but I got my eye on you, man. I know you're gonna try to pull something. I got my eye on you.
I've been at 10 houses today, and I look at you, and I look at your wife there, and I know that yous are the ones. Yeah, it's been you I've been waiting for all day. Just upload your consciousness, get your DNA up into that cloud, and everything's gonna be good. I'm telling you, man. And we've got a cool character that leads it all up. But before we get to the cool character, let's take a little listen to a bit more of what they're into, right? It's only fair.
I know.
Can't
I'm
think
waiting
of
for the
anything
free
more
love.
offensive to have done with it. Please leave your suggestions in the comments. Rail claims that the swastika is a symbol of peace, but that didn't stop the Israeli government from banning the Raelians from building a big alien embassy in Jerusalem. They decided to replace the swastika with a swirl, but still, no dice. The Raelians are also devout believers in free love. Sex and sexuality is actually a big part of the Raelian doctrine.
Okay, Jimmy, I'm pretty sure you're probably packing your bag right now. You're getting ready to set sail to the Raelian headquarters. I'm sure there's listeners out there thinking, yeah, Kev, why are you hating on this lot? It's sounding good.
And has attracted some clergy from other faiths. They believe in free sexual liberation, as well as full equality for LGBT people. They practice sensual meditation and have been vocal advocates for self-love and the distribution of condoms. There was one controversial case where they handed out condoms to students at a Catholic school in Montreal. They believe that sexual pleasure is a gift from the aliens, apparently ignorant of the freaky stuff the bonobos get up to. The Raelian Church is a big fan of science. They believe that GMO crops and nanotechnology can eliminate the need to work and create a world that embraces science.
Nanotechnology? Damn, this does connect with last night's show. Go figure.
The most exciting technology for them, however, is cloning. Rail founded an organization called Clonaid in 1997, and the organization advocates for the advancement of human cloning. They claimed in 2002 to have cloned a little girl named Eve, but have not provided her for any sort of authenticity. For her privacy. They think that with cloning, they could bring about immortality, as well as retroactively punish suicide bombers and Hitler. Don't ask me. The latest project they've been working on is to build a big alien embassy.
Wait a minute, Jimmy, wait a minute. They want to, through the advancements in CRISPR and genetics and cloning technology, they actually want to bring Hitler back to life to, put him on trial. Dang, dude.
I guess dying once isn't enough. You just keep bringing them back, man. Just keep resurrecting the old ragdoll and pull them out for some hate, 5 minutes of hate, and then take them out again. That's interesting.
Dang, dude. This is starting to, whoa. This is now I think
But
we're starting to get into the realms where me and you are looking at each other, Jimmy, thinking, why did we get on this bus?
Well, I'll tell you what, man. If I was out on a date with the Raelians and all of a sudden in the conversation she dropped the fact that she was into the GMO, I might have to start thinking about looking where the door might be. So my hackles are already up about the GMO. Okay, but
The spidey senses are going, Jimmy.
I'm willing to put it in my blind spot so I can continue to believe, though. I want to continue to make it real. So what I'll do, Kev,
Every man that ignored his initial spidey senses.
Kev, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ignore the negative part of this because I really want to adore the other parts of it.
Jimmy, and don't let the non-evidence of their claims of cloning get in the way, right? Doesn't matter. The guys have said it on the internet. It must be true. You don't need to see it. If you need to see it, you must be in the deep state, right?
Well, the rest of what they're saying sounds so good. So let me just ignore the negative stuff and just believe all together in it. And then I'll just ignore the stuff that I don't want to pay attention to over here. But what I'll do is
What you're saying is a bit like Rael himself. You're going to cherry pick the bits out of this that you like and then ditch the rest of it. I like that idea, Jimmy. You're almost like taking a page out of their own book.
Well, there you go. And he must have went to an AA meeting because they used to say in AA, man, keep what you want and leave the rest. And, so I don't think he made it up. So it's not that he's that interesting yet. But we'll see. I mean, keep...
Here we go.
Their plan is to build a landing pad for the alien spacecraft in neutral territory surrounded by a large campground. There will also be a suite pad for those alien ambassadors with a pool, a conference room, a wall, some bedrooms. Oh, and it'll be protected by an aseptic chamber to keep the Terran bacteria from killing our new Elohim overlords. To date, the Raelians have about 90,000 members in about 90 countries. They're most popular in Europe, Quebec, and Japan.
90,000 people. 90,000 people. That's. I mean, I know we're in a world of 7 billion odd, give or take. I don't know how many. Who knows how many people are here? But 90,000. That's a fair size of people buying into this. They're drinking the Raelade. They really are.
I would say.
Let's see. There must be something else in here that really kind of seals the deal, right?
I would
They
say.
have a tiered system of membership from 0 trainees to the level 6 planetary guides. It's also a complete man party, with only about a third of Raelians being women, but they do have a special women's-only Order of Angels, and preach openly about sex-positive feminism. They even have a special sect of women who work in or support women in the sex industry. The Raelians are a UFO religion. They aren't alone, but claim they're different by being strict believers in science and rejecting the supernatural. It does, however, put them in some dangerous territory, as many of us might remember Heaven's Gate, a UFO cult that committed mass suicide in 1997. Largely because of this UFO association, Raelianism is often referred to as a cult. The problem here is that the line between cult and religion seems to be somewhere between how much money you ask for and how well established you become.
And it's that becoming established that I really want to touch on. And this is what really swung it for me today, whether we would get into this or not. Because the Raelians having their conference, I mean, there's probably heaps of UFO groups out there that have an annual conference. Nothing really special about that. But what if I was to tell you this has got a little bit more legitimacy than, say, the equally backcrap crazy mob over at the Blue Chickens with Corey Good and David Wilcock? Because one thing that Wilcock and Corey Good definitely can't boast of is UN endorsements. We've heard a lot of talk here from me reading out the press release to what we just heard there about them wanting to build this embassy. And again, anyone can talk about that. We've got that other mob talking about meetings on the outside of the solar system and things like that, and they liaise off world with the Blue Chicken people and everything else, But this here, it's the fact that they're not only trying to involve countries around the world at government level, but there's a story that I want to bring to your attention that came out earlier this year on April the 3rd. And the headline is what sealed the deal for us talking about this tonight, because there's something different when you've got the United Nations talking to one of these UFO groups. I think we can all agree on that. Now, so far as I know, part of Wilcock's LARP isn't meeting with the UN now. I know he's got like a bajillion unnamed faceless whistleblowers, but as of yet, I don't think he's liaising with the UN. And more to the point, I don't think the UN would be talking about Wilcock, but they're talking about the Raelians. It says the Raelian movement recently wrote to Mr. Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, asking him to consider holding an international convention to discuss a new protocol to the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, provisionally titled Optional Protocol Concerning Embassies for Extraterrestrials. And the purpose of this optional protocol is to extend the provisions of the Vienna Convention to embassies for our extraterrestrials, but with appropriate additional safeguards and procedures. Quote, the response to our letter was appreciative but explained that the United Nations is not able to act without the support of the member states and recommended that we send our proposal to all ambassadors of member states, which we did a short time ago. Now, Jimmy, that's what has resulted in the conference that's just been held actually being attended by government officials from some of these countries. That's why, for me, Jimmy, it's got a layer of something different from most UFO cults, most New Age type groups, most online LARPs. Because for me, there's a whole heap of LARPing going on with this thing, right? Big time. But they've got the UN like in communication with them, and they've had government officials, ambassadors, foreign affairs people attending their meetings. In a year when we're talking about disclosure, I had to talk about this tonight, Jimmy. Your thoughts, man?
Well, I mean, no disrespect or offense intended, but at this point in 2020, I would say there's a large portion of the planet that believes in extraterrestrial or aliens. I would say maybe just as many, if not more, people than actually believe in the Bible. It's to that level. And so only having 90,000 members at this point, what they've done is they've worked the program out in the weeds. Okay, and they've gotten rid of the Deadwood dialogue. They've tightened up their game. Now, once this type of thing starts to get into a promotional scheme where it goes into heavy rotation, where millions and millions of people get wind of it that didn't know about it before, I think this thing will pick up steam. Honestly, I think this thing has legs. I think you're 100% correct in picking up on that vibe, for sure. And the legitimacy of the UN now puts it in front of everybody's eye.
Yeah, I don't know, folks. I'm just saying, by the time this year's out, I think we're going to be hearing more about this mob. Dare I say it, I think we might actually hear about them building their embassy. Now, where they build it, I have no idea. But I'm going to put that on my bingo card.
Astana.
It could be
They're going to build it in Astana.
Dude, I mean, hey, we've got our spaceport in Scotland now. They can bring it to Scotland. I'd be more than happy with that.
See?
China,
Russia,
Yep.
I'm sure they're going to find a place to put it. Listen, I'm telling you, this thing has legs. I mean, if this guy, the problem is this guy, he doesn't have the presence. I mean, their guy, he has no presence. I mean, you really need an upbeat, dynamic dude, like an Elvis. Like an Elvis of the UFO world, where he's, got this hairdo, he just shows up.
I know the radio listeners won't be able to kind of see this cat, but I'm going to play a little bit from our new illustrious leader. Wait till I find this here now. Hang on, where did I put it? Put that many times.
Yeah, I mean, logically, when you get to a certain point, you start seeing technology. A lot of people that get into technology and get into it, they end up at some point becoming atheistic. You know what I mean? A lot of people that are into the tech, they become non-believers because they think they're smart. They got smart and they got the tech or whatever. But the thing is that there's that whole other aspect of it that gets left behind, and that's the part of it that's where a lot of times you see people that are atheistic, they find out later and come back to being a spiritual or going back into some religious practices. For whatever reason, even if it's only because because a machine god is so empty and cold, Kev, isn't it? Doesn't it make you just shiver sitting out there all by yourself with a machine for a god? I mean, don't you need God to just wrap his arms around you? Just, Kev, I love you, man. Don't you worry about a single thing. Everything's gonna be all right. That's the kind of God everybody's looking for.
How can you even make God sound creepy? Can you even make God sound creepy, dude?
I don't know. I just,
Dang,
you know,
man. Dang, only Jimmy Jeans can make that sound creepy. But nah, I've never really spent too much time thinking about a computer or a dude wrapping his arms around me. I'd be shocked if it was either. Who knows what's running the simulation, my friend? Who honestly knows? Sometimes I think we may just be the product of a quantum fluctuation, Jimmy. That's all we are. All we are. And hopefully God doesn't sound quite as creepy as you made him sound there. Damn, I've still got the goose flesh, man.
you mean
Let's take a
we're
listen
not?
to
You mean
another of his prophets. Say, dude, I've got his prophet here. We need to listen to his prophet because, you know, every good cult needs a movie that's been entered into one of the film festivals, right? And this cult's movie is called The Prophet and the Space Aliens.
Oh, I love it, man.
Good morning. I always say to the Iranian, you have the privilege to live at the same time as your prophet. Like the privilege of the people who are alive at the same time of Jesus or Moses or Buddha.
And just to kind of give the audience an idea of what this cat's wearing, you think of maybe somebody like David Bowie back in the day, and he had the big kind of shoulder pads and things on. Well, if you think of the Pope, well, he's got like this big shoulder pad gig going on, and he's got his big swastika hanging off him. He's out there doing his yoga on the beach in the morning, man. He's eating grapes, clean off the trees. In fact, he's actually making grapes as he walks along. The ocean's parting, it's turning into wine. Fish are jumping out the sea at him. Ah, what a dude, man.
Wow.
How are you?
His silence itself is a teaching. Even you just looking at his eyes, you feel light, love, warm.
Funny story.
Et le dernier prophète s'appelle Raël. Et un prophète, il a un disciple.
So right now, Rael is their only prophet on earth?
From what I understand, yes.
Action! I wrote a synopsis to make a movie, not something cheap, polyurethane plastic, something between Star Wars and the Bible and the Ten Commandments. So this is what it's a kind of wow.
Claude, they took him to their planet.
I was constantly thinking, am I dreaming?
It's possible to discredit almost everything that anybody thinks about anything.
What if it's true? What if it's true, Jimmy? What if it's true? Now, we see... Now, let's play with it, because I like to look at things from all sides, remember, right?
What?
So, let's look at it, and we've already said that it takes pieces of religious texts, it takes pieces of historic givens, whether they're right or not, we could argue about that. But it takes all these little fragments, these little kernels, the real kind of highlights from a whole heap of things, puts them together and comes up with its own story. Now, I myself have often said that all of these ancient texts, all of these religions, they've all got little parts of the big story. What if this cat's gone and put it together, and I'm sitting here discounting him, and really, he's got his finger on that cosmic pulse, dude. He's on it. He's actually, he's the real deal.
Man, you're bad with that, man. That was good. Listen, you know, this guy's got an appeal to some people, man. Some people that got a high-minded view, you know, they're looking for something else. You know, always, you know, that's the thing about human beings, man. They're always seeking. And the minute a seductive character rolls up, next thing you know, you got yourself two people, you got yourself a community. You know, next thing you know, a few more people share it. Start, you know, hey man, you know, they start adding to it. You know, all of a sudden he starts out with a baseline. You know, it's like the very pilot episode. He rolls it out. It gets a lot of good response. It's got good numbers, Kev. The click response is out of this world. So
well,
now,
when we come back after the break, I'm going to get into some of the chapter names in one of their books.
Oh yeah.
And again, it's going to sound like the titles that I've used for Freaky Friday and Kev Baker shows.
Well,
but before we get there, we heard in that video, Jimmy, the fact that it was compared to the Heaven's Gate cult.
Right. Yeah. I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, you're somebody that looks into cults and things like that, and you sent me a link along those lines today. I mean, how does this tie in with Heaven's Gate, Jimbo? Tell us about that.
Well, what's interesting is that when I was reading up, we can get into it on the other side because there's quite a bit there that actually ties in, and there's some other things that I'm sure a lot of people are aware of, which is Blavatsky. So there's a common thread that you see with the UN and Blavatsky. There's also this tie-in with this alien part of it. You know, when Blavatsky was around, they weren't really talking about aliens. Okay, but they've added this component to the ideas of. I'm trying to think of what Blavatsky's philosophy was called. I can't think of it off the top of my head right now. It's been such a long time since I even thought about it.
Theosophy.
Yeah, theosophy. So the Heaven's Gate was a combination of the theosophy and these ideas about the aliens. And so when I was doing some searching on the Raelians, the Heaven's Gate cult was really up there in my search for some reason. And I thought it was because they mentioned the Raelians in the article, but it turned out that they didn't really mention them until later on in the article, but what they did talk about was what was going on with the people of the Heaven's Gate cult. And it's interesting because of the cultic aspects of the Raelian religion that's come about, which, you know, I mean, everybody knows, you know, when the New World Order rolls in and rolls up, it's going to be a one world religion. So why not have an 80s style Bowie Pope with you know, good tidings for all, you know.
David Bowie Pope, I like it, man.
I know I mean, it was brilliant when you said that. I thought to myself, you know, he does, man, with those old 80s Bowie costumes. It's like a Bowie Pope. Yeah.
I wonder if he goes about washing people's feet. I tell you, that's the mark of a true man of God. That one.
I'll tell you what. When they said even his silence is a lesson. Even when he's.
I wish the audience could have seen. I'll describe it on the other side. Don't go anywhere, folks. It's not that, folks. I know people on Jimmy's YouTube and Discord can still hear me, but I'm going to drop that video over on Discord, because the one thing listening to it, but when you actually see some of the people how into this that they're getting,
and the first thing,
scary, dude.
It's first thing I said to you when the girl says, even in his silence, there's a lesson. First thing I said to Kev is that dude is getting laid like 20 times a day. He's just looking at these.
One of his like get-togethers that shows you in that little documentary trailer. It's like maybe 18 to 20-year-old Asian girls in French maid outfits. Yeah, the guy's got a sex cult going on. Let's call it what it is. Dude.
Yeah, I see something interesting in you, my dear. You know, well, join me on the circular bed out back.
Yeah, let me enlighten you
for some silent revelations.
I tell you, man, these cult dudes. I tell you, I see their game.
Oh man, it's too much. It's great though, man. It's really interesting though. I mean, I wish I could remember the name of that lady. Everybody knows her name too. She was some lady in the 80s. She was a blonde lady. She's kind of good.
Like you say, I mean, there's fun to this, but when you start to take it back to tying it in with some of the stuff from Blavatsky That's when you really do start tying shit like this into the UN and Hocus Pocus New World coming together. And when you look at their website and things like that, and I'm telling you, man, it's they're different. There's something different about this mob. I'm not saying they're gonna take over the world or anything like that, folks, but I just there's something tells me we're gonna hear more about them. And I'm not saying there's some crazy suicide cult or anything like that. I have no reason to think that. But there's something different about them. That's all.
Well, you know what too? You know what too is like there's a lot of these things out there, you know, and they've been developing for a long time, and this may be the one that they decided on to be the one that they're going to put out there for people to go look at because of the way it's set up. You know, because in a technological world that we're living in, I mean, you got, you know, if you think of the last 20 years, how you know, if you were born sometime in the last 20 years or just, you know, 30 years ago.
Think about it, you know, you've had the whole ancient alien stuff. I mean, I love watching that show, right? But when you tie it, and if you want to go full conspiratorial, you can say that an entire generation now has had the foundation that ancient aliens did get things going here. And I'm not here tonight to debate whether they did or didn't, but you see how they've almost like, how long's that show been on? How long have they been pushing that on mainstream? Do you know what I mean? So they've already been sowing that narrative into reality, you know, whether true or not. Prepare the generation for the Bowie Pope.
Yeah, Jay-Z Night, exactly. Exactly.
Well, she ties in with the 17th letter, dude.
I know, and she also was she talked to the Raelians, man. I'm pretty sure that's who she said she was talking to.
You see, so you see now, so there are very strong parallels.
Let me go search. Let me go search her up. Let me go search her up and see what she was up to. Yeah. Thank you, Feminem. That was great. Thank you.
Stand for freedom here and now. Only thing that's on my mind is who's gonna free this town tonight. Who's gonna free this town tonight? What's up? The new world is going down.
Our number 2 on today's show, we're talking about the Raelians. Yes, Rael, whatever you want to call them. A French racing driver who got contacted by and taken away by aliens back in the 70s. Started a new agey type religion, as you do. It's all based on an ancient astronaut kind of hypothesis, idea. Myself and Jimmy have been taking a look at this today. Some good stuff, some good conversation. A lot more good stuff to come, by the way. And a really interesting tie-in. It's such a fantastic tie-in that I didn't even know was going to happen. But we'll get to that as we progress, because I want to bring Jimmy back on now. Jimbo, are you there?
Yes, I am here. No, I was looking into that little.
Giving out that name just yet.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't exactly pan out. I'm trying to scroll through here because it doesn't specifically name.
Okay, so that doesn't matter just now, then, right?
Yeah,
I want you to. Before the break, we were talking Heaven's Gate cult.
Yeah.
How this all ties in. You had an article there. Talk to us a bit more about this, then, Jimmy. Well, the connections, the similarities, the linkage, if you will, between what we're talking about and another crazy cult in its time.
Yeah, let me go back and get that article because I was up on this. I was up on this other thing that we're on, and could you? I don't know if I'm gonna have to open up a page, but basically, the Heaven's Gate cult. It was a group of people. They had this. They put this thing together. They believed that this, that they were going to be kill themselves and then they'd be resurrected 3 days later. Proved that they were, I forget what meteor it was that was coming through. Oh no, it was the Hale-Bopp comet that was coming through. And this was a big thing, I mean, when it happened, you know, the everything where you know, it really took over and it captured the imagination of the people. So let me scroll back here and see if I can find this article, because it's weird.
Oh, good man.
I got
I've
two
it here.
calls
It
open.
says,
I got two calls
I've got
open.
It. Remembering, I've got it here, dude. Remembering the Heaven's Gate.
There you
cult.
go.
It says 20 years ago, the belief that a UFO would take them away to a better life led 39 members of the Heaven's Gate cult to commit mass self-deletion on Wednesday, the 26th of March, 1997.
Self-deletion.
The 18 women and 21 men, ranging in age from 26 to 72, killed themselves along with their charismatic leader, Marshall Applewhite. Now, calling themselves the Away Team, they believed that they would return to the kingdom of heaven, which they called the next level. You know, I've often referred to death as being the next level. I think that tunnel that you see, I think that's actually the lights coming off a sign that says level 2. Just my own thought thrown in there. Applewhite revealed that he took on his human form in the 1970s to become a representative, a shepherd who offers a graduation class, offers life out of his evolutionary level, or this evolutionary level, into the next evolutionary level. And we are at the end of one of those times. 66-year-old Applewhite had been involved with running UFO salvation cults since the 1970s, and under his name Bo, he had worked with Bonnie Lou Truesdale Nettles, aka Peep, to collect supporters. Bo and Peep? Really? Bo and Peep were also known as Guinea and Pig. The two, or Tie and Do. Bonnie died in 1985 of liver cancer, leaving Applewhite to carry on their mission. And Ben Zeller, author of The Heaven's Gate, America's UFO Religion, notes, the founders were spiritual seekers living in Houston, Texas. Nettles was an astrologer and a theosophist. Now, we'll get into that in just a moment.
Yeah.
And engaged in channeling, a New Age practice involving spiritual communication. And Applewhite was raised Presbyterian and briefly considered becoming a Christian minister, but had become interested in alternative religions and spirituality. Both were avid astrology believers. It says they met and decided that the stars had determined they had had a mission together. Over several years, they came to believe that they were part of the end-time story foretold in Revelation. They developed a belief system focusing on interpreted Christian biblical end-time prophecy combined with belief in space aliens and UFOs. Basically, they agreed with Eric von Däniken and other popular 1970s authors that the Bible and other ancient religions actually are describing space aliens who were mistakenly called gods by the ancients. Now, Jimmy, before I hand it back to you, I heard Eric von Däniken in it's not a new speech by any means. It's maybe a few years old now. But it's not the first time he said it. He said on a number of occasions, look, his work, the fingerprints of the gods and chariots of the gods, things like that, should not be the foundation of any new religion. However, we can see that Heaven's Gate, they've obviously lent quite heavily on the ancient astronaut thing. And also the Raelians, we can see it's interwoven into that. Now, another thing that combines the two for me, Jimmy, is the fact that Rael was communicating via channeling, right? And
Right.
We've got this one here. Again, channeling and a belief in theosophy. Now, this is where it does get really coolly interesting and really ties into some deep stuff, because theosophy is the religion and the workings of Ellen Blavatsky. Now, Jimmy, Blavatsky, a pretty key figure when it comes to hocus pocus, channeling alien beings, and, influencing death cults along the way.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is, Helena Blavatsky has a direct line to all of these items. You can check all the boxes because the philosophies of Blavatsky have shown up in the work of a lot of different people, have integrated her work into some of the spiritual principles and some of the philosophies that we see, today. And some of those ideologies are totally in line with the New World Order. If you were to say you were looking for the spiritualist behind the New World Order, I know a lot of people want to look at Aleister Crowley. A lot of people want to look in these different directions, but I think you need to look directly at Blavatsky. Because she was she was the on the forefront of what we see today as the New Age philosophy. But there's a darker aspect to it that ties into the Crowley aspects as well. So
there's another big tie-in here, Jimmy, because I'm looking at the logo for the Theosophical Society, right?
Mm-hmm.
And their logo has a snake eating its tail, which forms an outer circle.
Mm-hmm.
At the top of that, interestingly enough, is the swastika. And below the swastika, inside the snake, is the Star of David. Or like you said, a representation of Saturn. So you've got the second sun, the black sun, represented in two kind of ways here, right? With a swastika and the whole Star of David logo.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a stretch to get to the old Raelian logo. You just shove the swastika down an inch into that Star of David, and we're looking at the same thing, Jimmy.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're definitely along the same lines here, aren't we?
Yeah. So listen, in 1885, Blavatsky, she established the Blavatsky Lodge in London and published The Secret Doctrine, a commentary on what she claimed were ancient Tibetan manuscripts, as well as two further books, The Key to Theosophy and the Voice of Silence. She died of influenza.
Well, let me add to that, right? Because it says the underlying concept behind Blavatsky's theosophy was that there was an ancient wisdom religion which had once been found across the world and which was known to various ancient figures such as the Greek philosopher Plato and the ancient Hindu sages. Now, Blavatsky connected this ancient wisdom to Hermetic philosophy, a worldwide view in which everything in the universe is identified as an emanation from a godhead. Blavatsky believed that of all the world's religions developed from the original global faith. Now, Blavatsky understood her theosophy to be the heir to right, hang on. I can't even say that. Some philosopher, right, of late antiquity. I can't even get his name right. There's no point me even trying it, Jimmy. Who had also embraced Hermetic philosophy. So Blavatsky claimed that due to the Christianization of Europe, the magical traditions was lost, but it persisted in modified form in India and Africa, promoting a self-consciously magical disenchantment narrative. In turn, Blavatsky believed that the Theosophical movement's revival of the ancient wisdom religion would lead to its spreading across the world, eclipsing the established world religions.
Whoa.
Thus,
can I jump in there? Because listen, man,
I've got one more sentence.
Go ahead.
To
Sorry.
It says, thus, in bringing these theosophical ideas to humanity, Blavatsky viewed herself as a messianic figure. You mean like Rael, who compares himself to a living prophet? You know, like people when they lived at the time of Christ. Strong parallels here, Jimmy.
Yeah, and I mean, the mentalities of people in 2020 have put them in a position to align with a lot of what Blavatsky was saying. Because you see with the J.K. Rowling's books and the opening up of the youth to the idea of magic and all these other things outside of the Bible, it makes it easy for this sort of philosophy that doesn't have it's not right at this point, or you know, the philosophy put forward doesn't have an entity associated with it necessarily. It's more of an energetic, you know, all the things that you hear in a lot of the new age discussions that across the plane, you know, across the YouTube universe. A lot of the things that Blavatsky says, people have developed whole careers out of just little segments of what she said was possible.
Well, we'll get a load of this because I want people to really think about these following three things I'm about to go through here, right? And I want you to think about what's going on in our world today. And bear in mind Blavatsky, back tail end of the 1800s, right? Old stuff, old news, not relevant today, right? Yet, it says here that officially, the society based itself upon the following three objectives. Now, again, cast yourself back to the late 1800s here, folks. To form a nucleus of the universal brotherhood of humanity, without distinction of race, creed, sex, caste, or colour. She's the grandmother of wokeness. Number 2, to encourage the study of comparative religion, philosophy, and science, and to investigate the unexplained laws of nature and the powers latent in man. Now that third one there sounds almost transhumanist in nature. And she's putting this together back at the tail end of the 1800s. And bear in mind, a lot of what she came out with was the basis of those crazy Nazi fools that were going around the world trying to get their hands on, you know, some of this lost, ancient, mystery religion
Tibetan.
From antiquity. Yes, Jimmy. Tibet. Yeah.
I know, and you see that some of the most powerful documents come from the Hindu religion, some of the oldest indications that there may be some validity to this Raelian idea of off-worlders on ships, you know, flying around in the sky. You know,
remember what we said about how the Raelians, they borrowed from ancient texts? Well, Blavatsky studies into her. It says that she borrowed from
ancient
Neoplatonism, Renaissance magic, the Kabbalah, Freemasonry, Egyptian and Greco-Roman mythology and religion. And she also managed to sew it in with doctrines taken from Buddhism and Advaita Vedanta to present the idea of an ancient wisdom handed down from prehistoric times.
Dude, you know what? I think you found Blavatsky 2.0 with the Iralians or whatever, the Raelians. I think because, listen, it sounds like Blavatsky had put together a bunch of these really seductive parts of the esoteric information that was available to her through these books. You know, and it sounds like she put it all together in one pot and wanted the people to sign on to it. But back then, the world didn't seem ready. But now they roll it out. They add in the mixture of the off-world, scientific-type, technocratic God in a ship. and throw in the Blavatsky, shake until well mixed, and stir. And let's have a nice cold one. Blavatsky.
Yeah, so I mean, this here, I mean, we've got Blavatsky, and one of her books was called "Isis Unveiled: A Master Key to the Mysteries of ancient and modern science and theology, from the caves and jungles of Indostan." Another book, I think Jimmy mentioned this one, "The Secret Doctrine." That was the synthesis of science, religion, and philosophy.
Ooh.
The Voice of Silence, another book. The Key to Theosophy. And the reason I bring up the books is because if we go back to what we started on today, old Rael, the Raelians, they've got books as well. And one of them is called Intelligent Design, a message from the designers. So this cat's got his own books like Blavatsky, and I'm going to give you a rundown of some of the headlines, some of the chapter names in here, just to show you how they really have taken from so many known stories, so much mythology that everyone kind of knows about and everyone can relate to. And that's what can make something, as Jimmy would say, so seductive. It can be so appealing because, damn, it does tick some of your boxes, So it says here, just at the very start of it, the truth. And the subtopics under the truth is Genesis, the flood, the Tower of Babel, Sodom and Gomorrah, and the sacrifice of Abraham. It moves on then to talking about the trumpets of Jericho, Samson, the telepathist, the flying saucers of Ezekiel, the multiplications of the bread, Elijah the messenger, the Elohim. Moving on, literally flicking the pages here. It's got the role of Christ, so it's got a bit of Christ in there. We've got scientific miracles. We've got the end of the world stuff in there, the end of the church, the creation of the state of Israel, then the mistakes of the church, at the root of all religions. So it's offering some root story, some initial foundation that everything was built upon, very much like Blavatsky, right? The Elohim's use of nuclear weapons, chemical education. It goes on then to talk about his encounter, the Pope of the Druids, the 2 years that have passed since his encounter, how paradise will be on earth, meeting the ancient prophets, but wait a minute. He talks of ancient prophets. Well, now he's really getting into the old Blavatsky stuff, because that talked of the ascended, the ancient ascended masters. So he's in direct communication with the same things as Blavatsky. Oh, holy, 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 holy. This is a very... Nothing new under the sun, Jimmy. Eh? Nothing new under the sun. And then...
No.
Yeah. This is the 21st century version of all that good stuff that Blavatsky was getting into. But what do you make of this, in general, Jimmy? Channeling, What's your take on that, dude?
Well, I mean, you are you asking me? Because I mean, I can tell you a story. I can tell you tell you a personal story. So I was in a room. I was at this place in Los Angeles called the Psychic Eye. It's a bookstore, and I was in there, and they had this lady coming in. She was a channeler, and you could come in there and go hang out in the room with the channeler. All right, so I went in there, and there's about 20 people, and there's nowhere to sit. And so I decided there was only one place to sit, one chair, and it was up and sort of off to the side in the front where she was sitting. So I was in there, I was there about 30 minutes, and, she was doing her thing or whatever. And the whole time I was sitting there thinking to myself, man, this is a bunch of bull. Because she's just saying a bunch of stuff that apply to anybody, oh, you got a big test coming up, you're going to have to overcome some difficulties or whatever. These things that, con artists can say that resonate with everyone. So I was sitting up front, and, then it was time to take a break. And so then we came back, you know, and so at this point I'd gotten comfortable sitting there, and I was just sitting up there, and she was doing her thing, and all of a sudden, man, I'm not kidding, all of a sudden she turned and looked at me and started talking in this other voice and started telling me a bunch of stuff, man. The room got cold and shit. I'm not kidding. The room got cold. Her voice changed. She talked about a bunch of stuff, and subsequently later on in my life, almost every single thing that she alluded to and that thing she said to me came true. Like, she talked about a red pickup truck, this and that, and there was this period of time where I was up in Oregon with my fiance, and this whole thing was going on, and it was a real bad scene with her brother dying and all this, and it was really bad, but she literally described everything that happened. So as far as channeling goes, I'd have to say I'm leaning towards, some people probably can channel. I wouldn't necessarily think that every person that purports to be a channeler is a channeler, but I can say that I was sitting there just thinking in my mind, man, this is a bunch of bull, until it turned around and the room got cold. So
I'm with you, dude. I'm with you. I absolutely think it's a thing. Again, my skeptical side says 99% of people claiming it probably have an agenda. Most of that will be financially based, but that doesn't knock the fact that I do think, yeah, absolutely, Jimmy. And the way you described it there, dude, dang, things getting cold and stuff. So yeah, I can definitely go along with that. That's why, for anyone listening to this, you might be thinking, oh, Kevin, Jimmy, you know, very judgy, you know, going after the aliens or whatever, and knocking all the stuff we're talking about. Well, when it comes to the channeling and things, and I'm not knocking the ancient alien stuff either. I believe there's a lot to be said to that. There's a lot of conversations we need to have about that kind of stuff. So I'm not saying that, you know, all these individual little factors that go into making up what these religions or whatever these cults are, you know, I'm not saying they're all bad, but I'm saying that overall, woven together very cleverly, you've definitely got the makings of a good cult. But the reason that I think it's important is the fact that when we're drawing parallels between the aliens and somebody like Blavatsky, then it's important to really look at how that does, again, connect to the UN. Now, when we come back on the other side of the break, because I've covered parts of this before with guests on the show, there is one character that has come to mind that will complete the connection between all of this kind of esoteric or esoterically gained knowledge, air quotes, and channeled stuff, and ascended masters, and Riel in the present time, and the UN saying to him to go out and get countries to open an embassy. Why it's important is with that UN connection, and I'm going to show you the UN connection to it after the break. It's undeniable. It's irrefutable. The UN are into theosophy, and that is going to be the new world religion. Don't go anywhere. There we go, man. There we go.
All right.
Yes, I remembered my. Don't worry, I'll get into it when we come back.
Sweet.
But I remember the good connection, Jimmy. This is where it gets real good, and we can definitely say, listen, it's a whole pile of dots that connect. Whether they connect or not, that's a different thing. But if we're definitely, I mean, if we are at the changing of an age, and I think we are.
We are.
Yeah, then, you know, I think it's, at least we have to have a conversation about some of the stuff out there. And if nothing else, I think some of this theosophical stuff, Jimmy, I think it's going to be definitely really woven into a one world religion, you know? Something that blends science, religion, spirituality. I reckon it wouldn't take much to sell that to most of the public, you know?
I want a golden age, man. I mean, I
do.
I want a golden age. I want there to be a utopia. I wish there could be, You know, I mean, you know, I mean, we're at a point where people's ideas of what the future is going to look like is all up in the air at this point.
Give me 2 secs, man. I'm going to go and get a quick coffee, right?
Yeah.
We're still on Discord. Big shout out to everyone there.
Hey,
Give me 2
Discord,
secs, okay?
what's happening? Yeah. No, we're just at a point where, you know, we can go in any direction. You know, people have been put into a state where they're moldable now because everything that we used to think was normal is no longer normal. We've gone past the 90-day period. So, like, when you're going to quit smoking or you're going to quit doing something, you got to get past that 90-day hump because it takes 90 days for people to break a habit. It seems to work. So, once we were on this situation with the masks and the staying home and everything for 90 days, we had been reformulated into something else. We're not where we were before. We don't go here and there at 9 o'clock. We have to be somewhere. Everything's changed. And so when we move out of that into what's going to happen, we're moldable at this point, and we're probably malleable at the same time because a lot of us may agree to stuff that we wouldn't necessarily agree to just because we want to get out of the situation we're in. And it's the same thing with this religion thing that we're talking about. It's like you have to disregard a whole bunch of stuff to believe in something in order for it to fly. You know, because if you think about stuff logically, if you weigh all the facts logically, it won't fly, and then you won't be able to have the dream of some other thing outside of yourself being responsible for how your life's going to turn out. Right? The ultimate game in a lot of this stuff is to give people an out of not having to take responsibility for what's going on in their lives or in the world. So, you know, people are looking for a way out, and, you know, they'll keep telling you a story until they get the story right. That's basically the bottom line. It's like, if this doesn't work, why didn't it work? Well, they didn't like the racial part of it.
To bring it back to me.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
man.
No worries.
Here we go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Final segment of today's Kev Baker Show. I've got Jimmy Jeans here with me. I had the pleasure of joining Jimmy on the second hour of his show yesterday. I had a blast over there. Jimmy's come on with me today, and we've been talking about, you know, Raelians. A dude, boil it down, really kind of brief description. To summarise, but a dude in France, a race car driver, 1974, gets cracked by a beam of light, right? He starts channeling, he gets taken away by aliens, and he ends up using this to basically set up his own new religion. And there's 90,000 members around the world. And when myself and Jimmy started to look at it, we started to see the parallels between that and something from the 1800s and Helen Blavatsky, the Theosophical Society. Now, the reason this Raelians stand out more than most of your online blue chicken cults and other UFO cults that are out there is because there's a tie-in with the UN. Now, the UN, people will say, but Kev, the UN didn't really entertain them. They told them to go and shove their finger up their backside and go and do their own thing. But just wait, because they have had their Raelian annual conference. It was held in secret. And we are told that there was people from governments there. Now, they want to build an embassy somewhere in the world, an embassy for extraterrestrial ambassadors. I tell you, as somebody who had the Red Dragon ambassador on the show, I'm going to be the first one there to interview the first ETs that turn up. You know it. I'm only joking, folks. I'm only joking. But there is a connection, a really, really big connection to the UN. And for me, when it comes to the New World Order, when it comes to this new age we're moving into, globalism, global government, you can't get away from the United Nations, right? They're in there. They're definitely part of the framework. And they're also, when you look at the United Nations, this isn't the first time that they've had a kind of relationship with theosophy, that religion that Blavatsky came up with at the 1800s, as Jimmy was going over and I went over before the break. And there's been other theosophists that have come along the way. And there's one really key one that I remember talking about on a show with the late Carolyn Hamlet, rest in peace. She was, or claimed to be, from an elite family and had a really horrendous story to tell. Really horrendous. You don't need to use too much of your imagination to think of some of the stuff that we got into there. The ritual abuse, the mind control. But that was where I had my eye open to the fact that all of that dark stuff and these elite families, you know, there's other powers at work here. And it was the first time I really sat back and I had to rethink things, and it took me aback because Carolyn said that she had basically two handlers, okay? And one handler, very physical, but her main handler was very, very ethereal. And it was one of these ascended masters. Now, the ascended masters that we heard about there, that language, we used that before the break. That formed a big basis of who Blavatsky was getting her information from in these channeling sessions, things like that. And when Carolyn was on the show talking about this and these ascended masters, she made me aware of somebody that ties all of this very much into the UN, not just back in the day, but as we're going to see in the next few minutes or so, very much still part of UN doctrine today. And that key person, that link between Blavatsky and the UN, is Alice Bailey. Now, Alice Bailey might be a name not many of you know out there, but she was a writer of more than 24 books on theosophical subjects and was one of the first writers to use the term New Age. Bailey's works, written between 1919 and 1949, describe a wide-ranging system of esoteric thought covering such topics as how spirituality relates to the solar system, meditation, healing, spiritual psychology, the destiny of nations, and prescriptions for society in general. Now, she described the majority of her work having been telepathically dictated to her by a master of wisdom, initially referred to only as the Tibetan, or by the initials DK, that's Delta Kilo, later identified as Jwal Kul. Her writings bore some similarities to Madame Blavatsky, and are among the teachings often offered to as the ancient wisdom. Now, though Bailey's writings differ in some respects to the theosophy of Madame Blavatsky, they are very much in common. She wrote on religious themes, including Christianity, though her writings are fundamentally different from many aspects of Christianity and other Orthodox religions. Her vision of a unified society included a global spirit of religion, which is different from any traditional religious forms, and included the concept of the golden age of Aquarius. Now, how on earth's name does this woman link in to the United Nations? Well, Alice and Foster Bailey, her husband, they founded something called the Lucius Trust in 1922. Now, its activities include the Arcane School, World Goodwill, Triangles, and a quarterly magazine called The Beacon, and a publishing company primarily intended to publish Bailey's many books. Now, the Arcane School gives instructions and guidance in meditation via correspondence based on the ideas in Bailey's books. World Goodwill is intended to promote better human relations through goodwill, which they identify as love in action. That action included the support of the, are you ready? United Nations. The triangles are groups of 3 people who agree to link up in thought each day and to meditate on right human relations, visualizing light and love pouring into human minds and hearts, followed by the use of the great invocation. It is not necessary for each person to link up in thought at the same time each day, and need only take a few moments of time. Alice and Foster Bailey founded the Lucifer Publish Company, and Lucius comes from Lucifer, Lucius being the Latin genitive cases or case meaning of light. Now, after 2 or 3 years, the name was changed to the Lucius Publishing Company. The Theosophical Society also used the name Lucifer for its early magazine, and in 1923, with the help of Foster Bailey, Alice Bailey founded the Arcane School, which is part of the Lucius Trust. This school provides educational correspondence, meditation instruction, and guided study based on her writings. And all that, Bailey continued to work right up until the time of her passing in 1949. And you might well think that's the end of it then. But the Lucius Trust never went away. The Lucius Trust is part of the UN. The Lucius Trust say on their own website that the Lucius Trust is dedicated to the establishment of a new and better way of life for everyone in the world, based on the fulfillment of the divine plan for humanity. Its educational activities promote recognition and practice of the spiritual principles and values upon which a stable and interdependent world society may be based. The esoteric philosophy of its founder, Alice Bailey, informs its activities, which are offered freely throughout the world in 8 languages. And if you go to the luciustrust.org website, you will see what I'm talking about, people. And that, Jimmy, that is how you can link in the fundamentals of theosophy, the core components of what Blavatsky came up with, and what has formed the basis of many's a New Age and UFO cult along the way. That's why this one's important. Because this is the one that the UN's been into all along, brother. All along. So it might not be Riel. It might not be him as the new Messiah. Excuse me. But it's certainly going to be somebody that's preaching the same kind of stuff that's coming out of them, that came out of Blavatsky, that came out of Alice. I almost forgot her name there.
Bailey.
Alice Bailey and the Lucius Trust. I think, Jimmy, even if these dots are just dots that don't connect, I think we kind of stumbled into something important today, you know?
Yeah, no, these dots definitely do connect. There's no question about that. Because if you listen to what you just read there, the mission statement of the Lucius Trust or whatever that was. Mm-hmm. If you say anything against that, it's the same as like when you say you're not for drunk driving, are you? You know, you're not for people driving around drunk, running over people's kids, are you? You know, those people should be thrown in jail. I mean, if you say anything against the unconstitutional aspects of it, they use the argument, well, you're not, because there's nothing wrong with what they said there. Well, I mean, what can you, let me, I mean, did you see it here?
No, you don't exactly, Jimmy. This is what makes it so.
I know.
Yep.
I mean, I'm just saying, it sounds.
I totally agree with you. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, the thing is like, what's not to like about what was said right there? But the thing is if you like that, and because it has the name Lucius Trust or whatever, if you like what it's saying there, does that mean you're subscribing to evil somehow? I mean, because the idea behind it, the philosophy, and that's the same thing with the Raelians, man. The philosophy behind it is not necessarily bad. So we got to believe in something, right? So I mean, wouldn't it be to the benefit of the planet that we find something everybody can believe in, like that old?
Absolutely. And listen, folks. I mean, I've covered this before. This isn't something new to me. I'm recalling the stuff that we covered at the time. And I know we've got a lot of new listeners who haven't heard about this kind of thing before. And you might still be thinking, Kev, hokey, doesn't connect to the UN. Well, if you go and take a look at the Lucius Trust United Nations meditation room, I think you might say, oh crap, I stand corrected, Kev. Because they've got a meditation room in the United Nations building that is by the Lucius Trust, and in it there just happens to be some big, giant, monolithic block of concrete. It looks like a sarcophagus, and some crazy artwork on one wall, and it looks like a pathway leading to a portal into another world.
It's made out of some substantial materials too. Those materials on that piece that's in there. And you know, Bill Cooper did a whole thing. He went off about that room a long time ago when they first built it, right? So that room is significant.
Yeah, get this, Jimmy. Get this. We need to get this in, dude, because this is going to blow your mind, right? The entrance to the meditation room at the UNHQ in New York. And as I don't even care, this could be absolutely hokey, but it's good woo. It's 33 feet long and 18 feet wide. And of course, they've broken the 18 down into 6 plus 6 plus 6. But the small, dimly lit, windowless room has been described by some as a satanic temple. It's designed like a pyramid lying on its side, with a mural in place of the capstone. The custodian of this ominous shrine is the Lucius Trust. And who was it that funded the building of the room? I present to you, ladies and gentlemen, a Mr. John D. Rockefeller. Oh.
Nah.
Oh, bugga, bugga.
Yes, I mean, you know, hey, what?
Dude. Good woo, Jimmy.
It's great woo, you know, and it's all organic too, because we were just basically going to be talking about the Raelians, but we found some parallel universes going on around this whole thing. And it looks like they're trying to market this to a new generation of believers, man. Because you've got so many people that fall right into a lot of these new age belief systems. You know, we're gonna move into the F5D. You know, we're gonna, you know, all this stuff. I mean, there's so many believers out there. I mean, there's such a community of people that are willing to believe a lot of these things that sort of fall under the same umbrella. So to kind of herd them into the same agreement reality bubble with something like this, where you can tie in, you know, hey man, hey, look at all the demographic we have that believe in aliens. You know, let's not leave them out. You know, let's bring them in here. Let's get a good story going here with some materialization of these beings, or you know, some mental, you know, influxation of information from the outer worlds and demonstration of how powerful they are. I mean, I don't know. You know, it's just, You know, I mean, maybe I've been, you know, inundated from the outer worlds. Maybe I have something to offer from beings far beyond the planet Earth. You never know, okay? Maybe
Yeah, I've definitely heard it been argued that you're from far beyond this earth. But that's not an insult. I think that's actually a compliment. You know, it says, and this is from the Lucius Trust website, from their actual website, the support of the United Nations. The Lucius Trust has consultative status with the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations, and world goodwill is recognized by the Department of Public Information at the United Nations as a non-governmental organization. As such, the Trust and World Goodwill are part of a community of hundreds of non-governmental organizations that play an active role at the UN, particularly in spreading information about the UN and fostering support for UN programs. Since its inception, the Lucius Trust and World Goodwill have given their support through meditation, educational materials, and seminars by highlighting the importance of the UN's
What you guys
goals
talking about and my phone is
activities
stupid.
as they represent the voice of the people and the nation around the world. So they are not only a real good kind of candidate, this whole theosophical kind of mindset, but we can see how they're absolutely perfect mouthpieces for the very globalist UN as well. Jimmy, how convenient's that? Eh?
well,
That's
it's
pretty cool,
convenient.
man.
You need an illuminated world in order to move into the golden age, and you know the best way to do that is to bring the bearer of light down onto humanity to bestow the knowledge of the tree of knowledge.
Oh,
You
yes,
know?
and let me then, come on now. Let me present to you, ladies and gentlemen, the Great Invocation. Now remember, they encourage people to get together in threes and form triangles.
Triads
around the world.
Triads
And
of
then-
power.
Yes, what they want you to do is they want you to take part in the Great Invocation. Now again, this is nothing new. This has been on their website for a long, long time. It says, from the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. And beside Christ, it's got an asterisk, folks. Below it, they've got like an insert. There's like caveats to that. It says, from the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where the evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan, capital letters, the plan on earth. That is the Great Invocation, Jimmy.
Well, there's another plan we gotta trust. But anyway, here's the thing, man.
I was just gonna say that they're all trusting plans, these people.
Everybody's got a plan. Just trust it.
We've got the Rockefeller Reset the Table plan. We have got the Great Reset plan coming from the World Economic Forum. Again, all capitalized.
My name's Jimmy, dude. I don't follow plans. I make plans. But listen,
don't do plans, and I don't do whistleblowers that run to YouTube, right?
Yeah, exactly. Listen, man. You know the thing about it is, how can you be against what that says?
No,
that's what I mean. That's what I
Jimmy,
mean.
exactly.
That's the seductive power of a double-edged sword, man. Okay, that's the seductive power of. Listen, you know what I'm waiting for? We don't have much time, and I'm going to bring it up, but I'm telling you right now, I'm waiting for the digital Antichrist to rise up and to be what the person who sees him or her exactly what they want them to be. Like, if you need it to be a woman, it'll be a woman to you. But to me, if I need it to be a man, it'll be a man. And everything it says will seem like it's talking directly to me.
We've already got that. You know, when you think about it, Jimmy, you've spoke about this before. Even just with social media and things, and let's not even get into the data it's capturing through our microphones and everything else, but just what we've given away online ourselves, Jimmy. You know probably even better than me, dude. You've looked into AI and machine learning and that, but they absolutely know all of our desires to a certain respect, you know, to a certain degree, and because you know we aren't all that different, folks. Our personalities, our behaviors, we fall into categories, and Jimmy, when you think about it, dude, some technology, it knows your desires. It would know exactly what voice. Listen, how many times have I had a laugh and a joke about how the Australian accent gets me? There we go. We know how mine's going to sound. Pretty seductive, pretty Australian.
Well, let's
pretty
say
much telling me everything I want to hear.
Let's say you worked for a government, and I wanted to get you, and I wanted to get into your brain, that I could data scrape you, and I could find out exactly the kind of woman that you were attracted to. And she would know all the right things to say, and she would bump into you at the laundromat, and one thing would lead to another, and she would get the information out of you, because I can pretty much predict, based on your tastes, exactly what kind of feminine qualities would be necessary to get you to think about it. And that's really all it is, you know, the idea is like when you're putting out a buying signal on the internet, you're searching, man. You want to find that answer. You want to find that hero. That you want to find that savior.
Exactly, dude. And I want to add this in because we've got 2 minutes before we go. But algorithm hitting something brilliant, and he said, "Oh, Jimmy, holographic antichrist. That will really mess with most people." Absolutely, it would. And he says, "Quote: Even the elect will be deceived." And I think that's the problem, Algo. You know, we're at a time right now where, you know, people might get a voice in their head that. Why wouldn't they think it's some voice from their God? Be it God, Allah, the Buddha, the Wookiee. Why wouldn't you interpret it that way? And imagine with everything going on in the world right now, imagine some voice, if you're Christian, some voice in your head telling you that they are the voice of Christ, of God. That this is an important time. And you know, people are being deceived. This voice telling you, this voice finally talking to you, and it'll probably, the signal will be able to be stimulating the parts of the brain where you're gonna actually feel like you're having a religious experience, like you're in one of those old chapels over in Europe or in Roslin Chapel where the sound reverberates around it, and you literally are. You're in a spiritual moment. Your brain's going to simulate that. And what if it tells you to ignore the deception, to be a child of Christ, and just take that mark, and just take that vaccine? What do you do then? Can you imagine how freaked people would be? Because they can do it. Will they do it? I don't know. But could they? Oh, they could. I'll be back tomorrow night. What a show! Damn! Wherever you are, make it TFR. And don't fall for the voice in your head. Question everything. There we go, man. There we go. Damn, dude.
Man, that was a great show. That was fun, man. There was a lot of...
That'd be pretty... I tell you what, that'd be spooky as heck to anyone, though, dude. Even if you didn't believe in anything.
I know.
Some booming voice in your head, just hitting those little receptors in your brain where you'll start to get the goose flesh at the same time. You know, they could probably have you seeing almost like shimmery visions in front of your eyes. Only it's not in front of your eyes, it's in your head. It's all in your head. I tell you, it would be hard to argue that you're having some kind of religious moment, right?
Yeah, and I was just looking into this stuff the other day. This technology that's it's an integrated augmented reality technology, VR type technology, but you don't need the helmets and all that. And I don't have the paper here, but I'll bring it. I'll shoot it over to you though, so you can take a look at it. Because it's sort of like the next idea. You have to wear one of these suits, but you can have a fully immersed experience in this augmented reality suit. It's looking pretty intense. Like you don't really want to leave your house. You know, you can just do or be anything. You know, right there in the privacy of your own home. I think it's trippy, man. You know, so. What's your situation? You got a guest tomorrow coming on over there.
Well, I might have Kevin McCairn coming on. Yes, I do.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Kevin my neuroscientist friend is coming on. Really, really like that guy.
Yeah, sweet.
What you see with Kev is what you get off air with him as well, which is what I really like. Again, some of it's way above my pay grade. But I like how he's able to at least show you the papers that he's pulling from, and I don't know. Again,
do you want me to reach out to Brisson and see if he's free and available? Because I mean, he was in my chat yesterday when you were going through some of the stuff, and he had a lot to add. Man, he's got a lot to add to that conversation.
Yeah.
You want me?
Maybe that would be another show.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot right here on the air. So I'm just saying. Let me know if you wanna get John and Lee to come on too, because I'm sure they'd be stoked to come on.
You could definitely. We need to get them on because we need to go over some of the LARPers in LARPland.
Yeah, John.
Offer a degree of protection for our KBSers out there. So definitely get. If you can get them to come on sometime soon, Jimmy.
They'd probably
be up for that to Lee before. I remember speaking to Lee for 5 minutes and it turned into 5 hours. It was awesome.
Yeah, no. I'll hit him up after we're done, and I'm sure they'd be stoked. I know they would be. You know, John just ripped that whole Wayfarer thing to shreds, and he ripped that whole Poly.
Yeah, it's done now, dude, man. Yeah, it's done. Wayfarer's well done.
Yeah. But I just mean
It ripped about the day it came out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, they do good work over there, and that's one of the places I definitely cruise over to. And, John's...
There's still people pulling that, and they need help. They really need help if there's still people talking about Wayfair.
Yeah, well, dude, you know what? I'll tell you what, this thing tonight, it's funny that word, the plan, kept coming up. I think that other Raelians had a plan, too, if I'm not mistaken, because I think you said it, and I thought to myself, what? Another place for a plan? It's like, hey, that plan works so good. That plan thing.
It's a shame that Jay-Z night. If that Jay-Z night had connected into that would have been perfect.
I know.
We could have tied in.
I know.
My favorite letter of the alphabet.
I know.
Man. I love them so much, dude. I love them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There always seems to be this plan that you got to trust in, and I'm just saying that they really found out how well that worked with the Q operation. And so like this other guy, this new guy coming out with a plan, like this is, hey, well, I'm used to trusting the other plan. Why not trust this guy's plan? Sounds like I'm going to upload my DNA.
Everyone's got a plan. Anyone who says a plan, don't trust him unless he's BA out the A-team. He always had a good plan and it always came together.
Yeah, if a guy comes up to you and goes, if you want to, and bombs are going off everywhere and some Navy SEAL shows up at your house, looks you in the eye and goes, if you want to live, come with me. That might be a moment to trust the plan. But other than that, I'd say make your own make your own plan.
I'll tell you what, Jimmy, no, because the way that these LARPers work on YouTube, they literally do go and doorstep people. They live in an altered version of reality, man. So there is actually a chance you'll get somebody turning up to your door claiming that. But what you should really do is stop they'll obviously have some ballistic vest on, probably. Ask them to open it. Just make sure they don't have a 17th letter of the alphabet T-shirt on, because I would imagine most of them do.
I know. It's
I'm out of here anyway, dude. I'm going to get going.
I'm going to go too.
To play. I've got people in Discord to say hello to. The joys, Jimmy.
You got a bunch of people over here too. There's a bunch of people over here for you saying hello. Zoe's over here, and it's S90. Aaron Drone's over here. Let me see who else is over
Hey,
here. Dee.
big hello to all of you cool people.
Yeah,
yes, it's
bunch of people.
I need to go and wash my hair. Now that I've got hair, I need to go and wash it, you know?
You get do your thing with it until you wash it. Don't put products in it, though, man.
No,
Stay away
man.
from the
Products
products.
are for soy, man.
That's exactly right. Don't put any products in your hair.
Exactly, dude.
As a matter of
I'm
fact,
out of here, man.
okay,
I'm
we'll
out
talk
of
to
here.
you.
I'll give you a message at some point.
All right, I love you. I'll send you that document. I'll talk to you later. We'll see you later.
Later on, Jimbo. Later on.
Peace. So let's go out with some Gamma and Voyager. And thanks everybody for hanging. I appreciate it.